Hello and welcome to my channel. If you do not know who I am, I go by Strange, and today we'll be creating some Gravity Falls AU fan art. So if you've been a fan of the show for a while, you know that Gravity Falls has numerous AUs. So many so that I probably couldn't name all of them even if I wanted to. When I was a fan during the Gravity Falls era while it was still airing, or maybe a little after it finished airing, I kind of was aware of some AUs, mainly the AU where Dipper was possessed by Bill, or there was like the Bipper AU. I don't know if there was a specific name, but today I wanted to actually focus in on some variants of Mabel. We will be focusing on two AUs, which is the Handyman AU and Reverse Falls. Reverse Falls is definitely one of the older AUs. I remember this being so big back in geez, I don't even know. I would argue maybe 2016. I remember this was a very huge AU. This is probably not the first time I've made fan art of Reverse Falls. I remember that for Mabel specifically, though, some of the fan art was a little weird. So for this, I just made her skirt longer because I remember like this girl is, and the AUs, I don't know if they like age her up or something, but if they don't, it's definitely even weirder. I just made her skirt longer because some of the fan art like gives her like, I don't know what kind of stuff it is. It's like a showgirl type of outfit, but without the skirt, and it's just, I don't think it's quite appropriate for the AU, and it doesn't really make sense either. For this fan art, I really didn't want to switch up like how they looked necessarily. I didn't want to redesign the outfits. I just kind of took it in my own way. I gave her a little sweater vest. I seen some where they just give her like a regular vest, and I think that's cool, but I think the sweater vest would fit her character more in this Reverse Falls AU. Of course, Reverse Falls isn't Reverse Falls without the Will Cipher on the side. Um, I just remember like this was a completely like pathetic version of Bill. I'll go ahead and explain this AU for anybody who doesn't know. This AU is basically taking the main protagonist of the show, so Bill, Mabel, Stanford, and kind of just turning them into antagonists. So they are swapped out with Pacifica Northwest and Gideon. Pacifica and Gideon are now the Mabel and Dipper of the show, while Mabel and Dipper are the Pacifica and Gideon. So they have this sort of tent of telepathy, but it's ran by the Mystery Twins. It's implied that Will Cipher, the opposite of Bill Cipher, is kind of forced into a deal with the Mystery Twins in order to kind of keep him captive in their grasp, especially since he's like still powerful in this AU, I believe. I'm not sure what exactly the deal is because I never really got too into the story. I just thought it was such a cool AU and such a cool concept that that's all I ever really interacted with it. I just saw a lot of fan art and I was like, yeah, that's cool. The next AU that I'm also drawing is the Handyman AU, which, to explain the Handyman AU, you would have to watch the end of the series to really understand. So if you have not, for some reason, watched all of Gravity Falls through, I would highly suggest watching the entirety of Gravity Falls and then coming back to this video. In this AU, it continues from the end of season 2, aka the season finale, and basically at the end of the season finale, Bill is defeated and calls upon this like axolotl god, which is so random, I know, but it's part of the show. The axolotl does save Bill, but within a price. In the Book of Bill, you can see that Bill is now in rehab / prison. I'm not 100% sure how it goes, but if you've ever watched the series, it's kind of like when Gideon gets arrested and he's still in like rehab. They're trying to make the bad guys good guys, all that sort of stuff. So, although I'm not sure if the Book of Bill is 100% canonical since it's from the perspective of Bill Cipher, and I would not trust that guy at all. It's assumed that Bill is a prisoner and no longer has the freedom or power to do what he wishes. The difference between what is canon and then this AU is that instead of necessarily only being a prisoner, Bill Cipher now has to return to the Mystery Shack and basically be a minimum wage worker for the Pines family. This AU for me at least is so like cracked out of its mind. It's ridiculous. Like you wouldn't really think of it, but at the same time I feel like it's the exact type of vibe that the show would go for. Like I could definitely see this happening in the show, in my opinion. Like just this all-powerful being just working at minimum wage, probably not even getting paid in the Mystery Shack, as a form of punishment for his misdeeds. I haven't seen an AU that isn't just angsty in a while, so it's nice to really break up those angsty AUs that are like really cool, but you know, sometimes you just want to have a good laugh, and that AU is definitely a good laugh for me. I want to draw attention now to the actual art I'm creating in this video. It's about time, right? So for this art, I really wasn't happy with the way that the bottom part looks, aka the Handyman AU part of the drawing. For some reason, I just really hate the way I drew Mabel in that one. She doesn't look natural at all, and I think her anatomy's wrong. I think there's a lot of things that's just wrong with the way I drew her. She looks a little off and a little flat. I think it's mainly just because I was having a little bit of art block when I did this, and I had like record for like the past 2 days, and I think I was just having a rough time. However, even though I could have just deleted this and not posted this drawing because I wasn't really happy with part of it, I decided to post it anyways because I wanted it to be a good example of just disregarding the way you feel about your art sometimes, because at the end of the day, I recorded this video with the intention to post it, and I still wanted to post it even if it was not the best that I knew I could do. I will give myself another chance to do better in the future, but I'm not going to punish myself by not posting a video that I worked hard on just because the art didn't result exactly how I wanted it to be. Besides the things that I didn't like about this drawing, I also wanted to talk about what I like. I really like the way that I colored Reverse Falls Mabel. I feel like I've been getting better at using these acrylic markers, and I have found like a new favorite coloring medium. I used to be like into using colored pencils, and that was like my whole trademark for a long time, but I stopped using colored pencils like a few years ago because I just stopped coloring altogether. I'm really getting back into it because I just realized that maybe I wasn't using the right medium. Color pencils are great, but they do take a while to build up, and all that time spent coloring was kind of just tiring me out before I was even finished with pieces, and then I wouldn't be finished with the art pieces and I'd be really upset, and so I wouldn't commit myself into coloring. So here's my piece of advice to anybody who would like to color more often while they're creating art. I would say that try any and all mediums that you can first. And I know that it might seem a little tedious to go through like a bunch of mediums to figure out what you'd like, but it really does help to know what exactly do you want to get out of coloring. Do you want your characters to look more two-dimensional? Do you want them to have some texture to them? All those aspects are going to help you choose what you would like to use. It really is just going down the list. I would have never thought that I would be into acrylic markers as much as I am, but after using them for quite a while, I've realized that I like them a lot more because unlike painting, they dry faster and they're thinner like layers. I could really build up color, but I also don't have to wait a long time to get bright, vibrant colors. I just have to do like a few layers in between each. It takes like at max 2 minutes to dry. I realized that I do like this kind of flat color look more with my drawings, and not necessarily making my characters flat, but more so making sure that their colors are really vibrant and pop off the page. A lot of that is due to contrast, and color pencils can be really soft in nature. Of course, you can get really bright colors, especially with Prismas, which is what I used to use, but I think that the amount of time just wasn't working out for me. I realized that I was willing to sacrifice a little bit of drying time in order to get a more immediate result. Now, enough with that advice stuff. I'm sure that a lot of you guys clicked this video because you want to hear about Gravity Falls and AUs and cool stuff. I actually was thinking about doing a part 2 with this type of video for Gravity Falls AU. I was thinking of doing Drifting Stars AU, which, in case you don't know what the AU is, it's basically an AU where towards that one episode where Stanford is kind of like coming out the portal, it is like the reverse of what would have happened, where Mabel gets sucked in and has to go through all these dimensions with Stanford. It's very angsty, and now Stanley and Dipper have to find a way to get them back home. Another AU that I was also thinking about doing is Monster Falls AU. Basically, the AU consists of Gravity Falls characters being hybrids of creatures. For example, usually Dipper is depicted as a deer slash human, or we have Mabel who's both depicted as a mermaid or a unicorn slash human hybrid. I've seen some cool ones where the Stan twins are like gargoyles, which I feel like honestly kind of fits them, especially when they're older. This AU itself doesn't seem very complex or very like plot driven, but it is just really cool to imagine all the different scenarios that would happen if, for instance, Dipper's sort of amazement is maybe human related rather than creature related. And getting to see all the weirdness up close would be such a cool way to go about the story. However, I don't think I would ever prefer this type of story rather than the one that we already have. I think just the discovery and the mystery factor of all this weirdness is too unique to give up. I think there's a chance that I might just put both those AUs in one video, but I would be really happy to know what everybody's like opinion is. Should I make it 2 separate videos? Should I make the videos shorter? I tend to make these videos below 25 minutes only because the speed paints are a bunch of recording and I can only speed up these segments so fast without cutting out a bunch of in between. The videos I try to watch are usually under 30 minutes, unless they're like a video essay, which I put in the background, and I usually do something else for those. That's my preference. That's also the type of content I prefer to make because I think it gives me enough room to talk without feeling like it's too rushed, but also doesn't drag on the same topic for too long. I'm so curious to know what your guys' favorite Gravity Falls AUs are. I don't know if I have a favorite, but I will say Drifting Stars, I just love that concept. Maybe it's just the angst, maybe it's just the storytelling. I'm not completely sure, but I just feel attracted to that story. I think Gravity Falls fans have like really fun AUs, just generally. I don't know if I could say any of them are typically so unique that I'm like, wow, that's just like, I would have never thought of that. But I will say that all of them make sense in a way, and I can kind of see a lot of them happening. It doesn't feel like it's taking the characters and stretching them into a mold that doesn't fit. I can almost visualize a lot of how the characters would react in situations like the AUs that are brought up without being too drastically different. Of course, all of that is opinion based, and I have seen a few artworks or a few like fan fictions where it just does not feel like the characters at all. But I think at the end of the day, it's all in good fun. If somebody creates art or fan fiction or any type of fan media in an AU universe, they're free to imagine the characters however they like. Typically, I prefer AUs that I can easily imagine happening to the characters with similar reactions to how I expect them to react. But at the same time, it is fun to see a different version of the characters within that AU. For example, how was Dipper and Mabel raised in Reverse Falls? If they have the tent of telepathy business, is it sort of a traveling business? Have they grown up in Gravity Falls to kind of follow that business? There's a lot of questions you can do within the AUs of Gravity Falls, which leaves room for imagination within that AU. To end off this video, I want to thank everybody who has remained until the end. Thank you so much for watching, and please consider subscribing and liking the video. It helps motivate me a lot more than you would think. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!